Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's feeling a lot better than I am. I'm slightly under weather again. I had to go out in public, and when I did, don't you know, I caught a stinking bug. If you're not feeling well, folks, stay at home. Don't get the rest of us sick. But I'm all right. I'm doing okay. I got my Dayquil. I'm going to try not to gross you out too much with the sniffles and all. I got my Dayquil in me, and I got my cough medicine sitting right there if I need it. We got 27 folks with us right now. This is going to be a little bit of a hodgepodge of stuff. I had a file that set up there on the hearth for quite a while. The design of my deer and the crosshairs. And Carl Riley been asking me about this for a while, and I've been working on a series of these and didn't want to just release one until I had them all ready. And he he asked me about them again after the last video, and I'm gonna make it a priority. So here we are. I finished these today, and I've got a whole series of them. I'm gonna show them to you, and all of those you see there are done with this file. It's scalable. You can make it out as big as you want. It's 3 layers, and you can make each one of them out of a 12 by 12 sheet. So, it's, a foot tall, give or take. I didn't do the 3-layer base on this one. These have got 3-layer bases. That's how the files are designed. But in addition to showing these and making Carl aware, hey, now they are available. He's been asking for them. I've got a Valentine's Day version of this already, and we're going to design in real time. I've not done this yet. We're going to do this completely off the fly. It's not even been rehearsed. So hopefully it won't be a total cluster. In fact, I'm going to move this one. This one I actually redesigned. I'm going to turn it around so you can see the deer really good. This deer, the neck on it looked like he had one too many neck days at the gym. There's no contour to him at all. He didn't look right to me. So I changed the deer on it. I'm going to set this over here and show you these other ones. And let's see here. So the new deer is got his head turned, and he's got a little bit more definition to his neck. And I just like that deer better. But I've got a deer, 3-layer base. In addition to the deer, we got moose, a great big old moose. Now, of course, these are completely unfinished. I haven't put any lacquer, any triple thick, nothing on them. They just quickly went together. And in addition to the deer and the moose, we got big old bear, just in case you like the bar. And if you're not a hunter, you can take the reticle off there and change that. In fact, I might even show you that real quick when I open the files. If you're not a hunter, which I'm not, but these are going to be very, very popular for those that are. But you could take and change this from a reticle, take the crosshairs out of it, and just put some engraving around it. And I don't know if you've been to Bryce Canyon National Park and you've seen a whole bunch of moose, and you're like, I'll do the moose and put Bryce Canyon around it or something. That would be very easy to modify. We also have an elk, and the elk is in the middle of a great big old bleat. He's hollering out to his mate somewhere. And I actually tried to position the crosshairs on all the animals on what I thought would be a potential kill shot. So I tried to make them kind of realistic too. But the one I think is going to be the most fun is my Sasquatch. That should go over good in the Pacific Northwest. Excuse me. So those are what I'm calling my Crosshairs Mountain collection. I think we'll look at that. But the one Valentine's Day that I've already done really it comes from the heart, and I did finish this one. I painted it and put some triple thick on it, but it is Cupid is stupid, and Cupid's in the crosshairs, and there's a broken heart behind him. So, and that's painted a crimson. The heart's a crimson red with a little black streak up the middle through the crack in the broken heart. But that's Cupid is stupid for those who don't necessarily feel like celebrating Valentine's Day and all its glory. But we're going to design an entirely different Valentine's theme that's not anti-Cupid. We'll do a heart theme, a 3-layer like this, so you can see how I created these projects, and you're going to get the chance to download those that are watching and hang around. The file I'm going to design tonight in real time live here with you. As soon as I get done with the live stream, I will get it over onto hobowithwood.com and put it available to download for free for everybody watching the live stream tonight. It'll be free for, I'll probably do 24 hours free. That way it's everybody in the live stream, and then once they catch it in different time zones, they'll get it too. The crosshairs, those are already on Hobo with Wood, but don't go jump on those yet. If you like those and you think you're going to want them, I've got them available individually, but then I also have them available in a collection, and I'll do a coupon for those in the live stream as well. Those won't be free, but they'll be available at a discount for those watching the live stream. And that discount will be also 24 hours. So while we're catching on to some, waiting for some maybe people to jump in here, we're up to 67 folks. Oh, and this is another suggestion. Many of you guys that were here and waiting were also my patrons. And man, I am super thankful for you. More than I can express, and more than I would ever try to express in fear of embarrassing myself. Thank you for your support. Those who are not patrons, I'm going to be doing some different stuff in 2024. That if you are someone who regularly buys files off the internet, if you're buying files from Etsy or you're buying files from any other place, and you're also experiencing that they're not always 100% LightBurn friendly, you have to correct a lot of things, fix a lot of things, you need to become a patron for Hobo with Wood. Patreon.com/Hobo with Wood. And you really need to sign up and be a gold patron. And here's why. I think I'm going to be continuing these live streams. I don't know about the Saturday 9 p.m. time slot. I might be doing various time slots so I can maybe catch some other folks in different time zones that don't normally have a chance to catch me at 9 p.m. Eastern time. But what I'm going to do is the files that I'll create during these live streams and for the live streams will be available on the website at a discounted price for those watching. But beyond the files, like tonight, I'm going to show you a really simple file, a 3-layered file like this, and how you can make it, how to design it yourself and do it out of a single piece of 300 millimeter material. So you're going to we'll be able to leave with the knowledge of how to do it. But if you don't want to do it, and I've got all these other neat designs, if you're a gold patron on Patreon, you can go to the website and download it for free. No discount codes that from watching it live stream. My patrons have a coupon code that get them 100% off on all the files. Silver gets 80% off and bronze gets 60% off. But why I think gold is your best bet. Just the other night, I looked And before I uploaded today, I had right at 100 files on hobowithwood.com that you can download right now that were all created in LightBurn. They are guaranteed to be laser friendly. And if you have problems doing the files, all you have to do is hit me up, hobowithwood.com, hit me hobowithwood@gmail.com, and I'll help get you through whatever roadblocks you're having. But for $20 a month, even if you sign up for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and have access to all those files, in addition to all those files that are on hobowithwood.com, the Patreon page has got an entire year's worth of posts that have files with it that's also not available on hobowithwood.com. I'm going to be focusing, I think this is the avenue I'm going to be taking for a while, and trying to share knowledge and files. And instead of all of and guys, if you ever feel like doing the super thanks, thank you. But instead of me asking for super thanks and for contributions to the channel, it's a blatant, hey, support me and hobowithwood.com. I'm going to continue to teach and continue to give some files away, but that gold patron is the best deal going. I promise you it is. And in fact, if all of the gold patrons that are in here, you give me an affirmation, confirm for everybody who's not, that there is a lot of benefit to being a patron. All right, so we got a bunch of, like I said, a bunch of regulars. In fact, excuse me, Jeff Benedict, I think, recently signed up as a patron, and I get notifications from Patreon whenever my patrons like or comment on something on the website. And I had 47 or 50 notifications, and they were all from Jeff. Jeff had went through and just went down the whole thing on Patreon and like, love, and comment. So there is a lot of information out there, a lot of files out there. All right. Okay. Just looking at all comments, see if there's, and if you have any questions during the demonstration, when I start doing this file, preface your question with the question mark. Put a question mark first, then your question, because with all the comments that I see here, I'm just going through, and if I see a question mark, I'll stop and look and try to address that. I want to try initially right now, we're going to kind of keep it to the design. And after we finish the design, if there are other questions that I can answer, I'll try to. I am not a wealth of knowledge on technical stuff, but LightBurn related stuff, I'm pretty knowledgeable. If I don't know it, we'll fumble through it and figure it out together. And a lot of times that's how I learn stuff, is just fumbling to figure it out. In fact, a lot of you guys know this name from the different live streams, because Jack's very active on YouTube. He said he spent all day in Charlotte. Fire alarm tripped a few times at the office. I didn't get to go to the lumberyard. That's just as well, Jack, because Jack and I had talked during one of the last, or chatted back and forth. We have a local West Penn Hardwoods in Conover, North Carolina, which is not too far from us. And we were talking about going, but man, as bad as I feel, I would not have went with you. I wouldn't, because I'm one of those, I'm sick, I'm staying home. I'm not going to spread this around everywhere else. But I do need to get back up there so we can try and reschedule that. And you'll have to come and sample some of the goods. I cracked the seal on them. Carl says he had to stop for 7 deer to cross the road in a gated community. And when they say when you see one, they ain't just one, especially at night. You see one jump across the road, you hit your brakes and stop, because there's going to be 5 or 6 more right behind them. It ain't the first one that gets you. Yeah, Jeff says he votes for Bigfoot. I like that one too. That one's really cool. And Jack, yeah, down with Cupid. All right. Chicago Bob, yes, you've been a supporter of Hobo for a while now with contributions. And he's saying it's 1,000% worth it. It really is, guys. I try to take care of my patrons. I kind of neglected them in December and a little bit early in January with year end. Had some, 2 funerals had to attend in the last week of December, and so dealing with family and friends, and so things got put off for a little bit. But there's another thumbs up. Just Jeff's a silver, and even that silver, it's 80% off on all the files. Russ, big supporter. Okay, so let's look at designing a Valentine's theme 3D 3-layered piece, something like this, but we're not going to be anti-cube this time. This time I'll do something all lovey-dovey. In fact, it's going to be simple so that hopefully everybody can recreate this. So if you have the ability to get LightBurn open, you can kind of work along with me here. If you, I've mentioned this website before, and some of you may have already went and jumped up and signed up, but I'm going to be jumping over to svgheart.com. svgheart.com. It's a great resource for getting just clip art instead of having to draw everything out. But I never, ever use that clip art in the way that they've designed it. I always repurpose it. I don't want to, I don't want to produce somebody else's stuff. I want to create my own, which is, I'm encouraging you to do the same, but at the same time, I'm also wanting you to go to hobowithwood.com and buy my files. But I want you to understand how, because you can do the same thing. Like what I was talking about with the, any of the animals, if you didn't want the reticle in there, you didn't want the crosshairs, with what I'm going to be showing you how to do this, you'll know how to, I can buy that file and then take it and make it my own. I'll take the reticle out. I'll customize it, put a part name in there, do something down here underneath the, what is this one? This one is the deer. You could actually make, without the reticle in there, that whole area would be something you could engrave on and personalize it. So hopefully you learn from my techniques. Then you can still buy my files and then take and customize them and make your own. All right. And Richard saying that SVG Heart is definitely worth the price. Yep. And they do have the free version, but the premium SVGs are really nice and it's very inexpensive. So let's jump over to svgheart.com. And I'm going to search for, well, right there. We'll just search for heart. Search. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding, ding dong, ding dong, ding. Okay. Basketball heart. That'd be good for March Madness, but I don't care nothing about sports these days. This one right here. Well, part of this one anyway. All right, so I am a member of SVG Heart, and I'm logged in, and so I can download this for free, but I don't need to actually download it. I can just right-click and copy the image, then go into my LightBurn, right-click, and paste it. Now, I don't want all these arrows and all these little bitty hearts. I just want the big heart right here. So I'm going to right click and trace the image. And if, excuse me, if you look right now with where the threshold is set, it's got the trace around the heart, but you don't even see the trace around these other pieces, which is just fine because I don't want them anyway. But if you did want them, you increase your threshold, and now it's starting to trace the entire image. And I'm going to go ahead and do that right now just to show you how easy it is to to get rid of those when it's not as easy to eliminate them with the threshold. If you end up tracing something and you get a whole bunch of stuff on it and you want to get rid of them, that's what we're going to do. So, okay. So now that trace piece, when I select it, it's all grouped together. I don't want all of that grouped together. I'm going to ungroup it. Then I'm going to select just those two hearts right here, group that back together, move it over here, and now I can just simply select all that and hit the delete button, and it's gone. Bye-bye. I don't want it anymore. All right, so now I've got the basic shape of a heart. Now, when I'm designing my files, I'm designing them to sell on Hobo with Wood. And I'm also thinking that most of the potential end users for those files are going to be working with a small diode, a desktop that might have around a 400 by 400 work area. A lot of guys, gals, you got the bigger CO2s and some of the extended open gantry machines. But I typically try and start my designs thinking about cutting it from a single piece of 300 by 300 material. And that's kind of where I start, because, and the reason I do that, whenever we start and cut back over to LightBurn, switch, I'm going to be cutting out 3 hearts, and I'm going to want to try and get the 3 hearts plus the 3-layer base out of a single sheet of 300 by 300 material. So when I do that, if I do anything that's small, detailed, and then shrink it down, it can become too delicate or impossible to cut out for a lot of folks. So I try to make it as small as it's going to be and then add the details to it. And that way it doesn't become too small, too fragile. So I'm going to draw out a toolpath. I'm going to select my square and hold my shift button and draw a square there and make it 300 by 300. 300 by 300. And we'll send it up here to the top corner for right now. So if I want to have 3 of these cut out of here, plus another area for the 3-layer base, I hope, then I've got 4 quadrants that I can put this in, which is going to be 150 square, right? 150 by 150. So I'm going to take this image, the heart, the aspect ratio is locked, and I'm going to put my width to, we'll say 145. Because that way I've got some margin at the top and the bottom. And that there would be the base size of what that heart shape is going to be, the outline, the perimeter. If I'm going to plan on doing something inside here, because I kind of like this, but here, if we measure this, let's use our ruler, come right about here. This is about the thinnest area, and we measure that distance. That right there is only about 3.5 millimeters wide. So that's potentially slightly, that's fragile. That can be fragile. The material that I'm going to be cutting it out of is only 3 millimeters wide. So I don't really want to have a space that narrow, that fragile. So I'm going to ungroup these. And I'm going to shrink that inner one down just a little bit. I want to get about 5 millimeters there. There's 5.1, 5.2. So that's good. But now what that's done is now this area up here is quite a bit larger, and I don't like just that blank space there. So now what I'm going to do, since I've already got everything down to the smallest size it's going to be, I'm going to select that outer one and duplicate it and hold my control button and shrink it down. And I don't know. I'll look here. In fact, I'll query you guys in just a second. I'll get those. We'll get one more here. Duplicate another one. Something like that. Let's and I always have a hard time remember which one of these is right. I think it's this one. Yeah, there we go. That is going to distribute the selected objects horizontally with even space between them. So now those are evenly spaced. And I might bump that one up a little bit. And then you could Control D, duplicate it, then use your mirror function to mirror it, and then just arrow those over and get something similar to that. Now, the only question I'm looking at this right now is like, okay, do I want to leave those like that in that orientation, or would you rotate them like that? What do you guys think? Mm-hmm. We'll take a break and come look at your questions or comments. And anybody's got any questions. And also, this is an opportunity, guys. And if for those who haven't watched any of my live streams before, what I ask when I'm teaching stuff like this and people just go quiet, that hurts the analytics on YouTube. But I don't want everybody talking about the snow and everything, because I want you learning. I want you watching and seeing stuff. So when you see something that you didn't know before, or it's like, that's cool, I like that. If you learn something new, just hey, put a 1. I've learned something. If you learn a second thing, put a 2. Just 1, 2, and it kind of keeps the chat moving and active, and the chat rate stays up, and that helps with the YouTube analytics. So, is there any questions so far? Any comments or questions? And remember, put the question mark before no questions. And what does, let's see here. Mike says that I think they looked better before you rotated them. I think they did too, Mike. I think that I liked them better without the rotation. And Chicago Bob second said, I like the rotation, but not as much as having them straight. Yeah, I think I liked them straight too. Jesse thinks the arrows deleted would look cool. And yeah, but then see, it's I try to keep it as much original as possible. It'd be real simple to bring those in right now because I copied that, so it's still on my clipboard. So all I've got to do is paste it back into LightBurn, trace it, and put it back in there. In fact, I'll do that and just look at them. And Ed's, yeah, everybody, as far as the hearts go, seem to like them better straight. So switch back here, and we can just simply do undo, undo, undo. All right. And for grins and giggles, paste, trace. I didn't mean to do that. Trace. Increase the threshold to where we can get those. There we go. And say okay. Now put that back on a cut path, ungroup them, and let's see. Shrink it down a little bit. That would look cool too. Since I'm going to be giving this file away to everybody watching tonight, what do you think? Majority in the next 10. Do you like the arrow or just the hearts? Guillermo, you're a little bit late, but we're just getting started on this design. Chicago Bob says, yeah, he likes the arrow and the heart. And Guillermo, you'll be able to watch it all from the on a replay. And everybody looks like they're saying the arrow. So we'll go with the arrow. Hey, Crafting with Gene. You'll be able to catch the replay, and I'll do a summary. If you hang around with us, I'll summarize what you've missed. We're just getting started in a design. I'm creating a 3-layered little Valentine's design. This one is going to be a simple, and we're creating this, and I'm using the input from the viewers to help design it. So, all right. So, looks like, yes, the majority of the folks say they want the arrow. So we're going to use the arrow. All right. Switch back. A few of you said both. You know what? That's what I'll do. I'm gonna do one of each like that. I'm gonna get rid of all this up here. Don't want to get those hearts. So don't want to get that either. Delete. I'll do it like this. So it's, over here, it's got a heart with an arrow through it, and over here is just the 3 hearts. Then, if you like it like that, great. But if you decide you want just the hearts, then you only have to delete this one, duplicate it, mirror it, move it over there. Or if you want just this one, you can do the same thing. So now you'd have your choice of either or. All right. So now this would be my front piece. This is going to be my outer frame, like the scope or the reticle is on the mountain crosshairs. This is going to be the front of the 3 layers. So now I'm going to really quickly create the back layer by simply selecting just that outer one and say Control D, duplicate it. Actually, before I do that, and when it's selected, I'm just going to hit the delete button to delete it, because I need to put a tab on here first. I'm going to select those 2 hearts and group them. And now I'm going to draw out a rectangle. And I'll say 24. Let's see, unlock my aspect ratio. Make that 24 by 4. All right. Now I'm going to center that. And I'm going to grab the bottom center. I didn't have to center it, because what I'm getting ready to do is going to center it. I got the bottom center, and I'm going to bring it to there. And I don't like having that angle in there. So now I'm just going to draw this up. And you see how I get the arrow there for where I can now pull this up and down, but my cursor is in the way. I can't see the point of that bottom heart. Once I get that selected, I left click, and then I can just roll my mouse out of the way to where I can see what I'm doing. And now I can pull that up to right about there and release it. That's the size tab I'm going to have. I'm going to now hold my shift button and select the hearts and weld that together. So there is a tab for the outermost heart. So now I can ungroup that, select just the outer one, Control D, duplicate it, and move it to the bottom. And there is my back layer. So I'm over 2/3 of the way done. Well, I'm halfway done, because I got to do my stand too. Now I want to put something in the middle, and let's do a duplication. Actually, you know what? We'll group all of that, group it, Control D, duplicate it, and move it over here. This will be layer 2. And I'm going to ungroup these, and I'm going to lose this one and these, because what you can do here when depending on how you want to finish this, and that's the other thing I'm thinking about as I'm designing it. Like, okay, since this is going to be a solid billboard, if you will, the solid background, maybe that's going to be a bright Valentine's Day red. Then this one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in here for the purposes of this project, I'll just do a simple I love you and weld I love you in here. And then this might be painted bright white. This top one might be painted pink. So through the pink, you would see the bright white through here, and then your bright red in the back. So let's see here. Any questions? Switching. When you get to the bottom, flip hearts up. When you get to the bottom, flip hearts up. Don't understand. I'm a little bit of, not a little bit. I've been drinking a lot of Dayquil, so don't follow that one quite there. Richard's asking, is 145 large enough? That's 145. Yeah, 145 millimeters. Because all of these were cut out of the same. In fact, let me grab a skeleton. Here is the Sasquatch skeleton, and it's one solid piece. I've got the 3 bases and then the 3 layers. And is it large enough? Depends on what where you're gonna use it, where you're gonna place it. Where is Sasquatch? Where? There you are. So if you're going to place this on your desktop or on your desk, that's probably about as big as you'd really want it. And showing you the back of it. There's the front of it. And of course, you can paint these things up and do whatever you want with them. But like I said, Richard, I designed these so that they can be made from a single sheet. But I'm also going to show you when I'm done with this, how you can take this file and scale it up very quickly and very easily and make it to where it's now the full. You'd use multiple sheets of 300 by 300 to create one this size from the same file. But you want to design it this small so that because if you designed it at this size and then shrunk it down, you may have inadvertently made things too fragile. Going up is never a problem, but shrinking it down can create issues. Okay. Yeah, it's almost 6 inches. All right, now hide that and switch back. Auto. All right, so we've got our face, our back, and now we just need to put in our font. Now, I like my brush script. I like it a lot. I love you. And I don't like that spacing, so I'm going to decrease my horizontal spacing. Not horizontal, my vertical spacing, my bad. So I'll shrink that down. And it's getting closer. In fact, what I'm probably going to do is come back here to my text. Let's increase that, get a little more space. Come back here to my text, and I'm going to come over here to the I, and I'm going to use my space bar and bring that over there. And let's shrink all this down some more. Text, come back here, space you over. And bold. Yeah. Bold them to make it, the letters stronger. We might give her a little bit of that. And what does it have an italic? No, not all of your fonts have italics in them, and a different script might look better, but I like the brush script. Now I'm going to select the text, and I'm going to do an offset, and those connected, these have not. And so if I increase my offset, how much bigger does it have to get? Has to get to about there before they all connect and touch each other. And I just seen Mike's comment, Mike saying that kind of reminds me of I Love Lucy. And yeah, it does. It does. Showing our age there. All right. Once I've got that offset, let's see, is 7 going to get me there? No, 7's not. 7.5 will get me there. Let's say okay. I didn't want to do that. Undo. Get them both. There we go. And I don't know if I like how that's, but I'm going to show you. Oh, well, I know what we'll do. We'll make that a little bit bigger. We're going to get her out there like that. And now hold the shift button and select the heart and make sure she's centered that way. And that says it's centered, but I don't like it quite that far. I'm going to put her about there. And I'll do the offset. Eight. And I'm going to group those. And there's a couple of different ways you can do this. And if you group these, this heart is now one piece. So if you select that and hold your shift key and select your offset, then you go in here and look at your Boolean assistant, because you're like, I don't know which one to do. Okay. Well, you can use your Boolean assistant to determine. There it is right there. It's the union. Union would weld those together. But if you look down here, that unfortunately, that offset is out here past. In fact, let me just go say, okay. See how that offset was sticking out beyond the outer piece, so it deformed the outer heart a little bit. So instead of doing that, undo, and you see there, and you could go in and modify that, but instead ungroup those, and now you've just got your center heart. and you select it, hold your shift button and select your offset and go back to your Boolean tools again. And a minute ago, we used this first one, union, and that's not what we want. Intersection is not what we want. But that right there, A subtract B, would give you the result you're looking for. Say, okay. And it did not interfere with the outer part. Now I can ungroup it and get rid of this piece right here if I wanted to, and I think I do. And now group all of that back together. Group. And now I've got 1, 2, 3 pieces that are ready to cut out. Just need to set up my base. So I'm going to come look for any questions real quick. All right. Trying to see what Dwight said. Rotate heart on the right. You can make a little larger if you still have room after adding bases. Again, the Dayquil is really messing my ability up to follow what you guys are talking about. Rotate the heart on the right. And I don't know when you made that comment. There may have only been 2, and this one is the one on the right. But if you rotate the one, you got to. They're all going to fit together like a puzzle. I'm not quite following, but I'm going to blame that on the medication. And just so that if any of you are going, no, it's not that stuff. It's this stuff. This helps with the coughing and the sneezing and oh Lord, my ribs hurt so bad from all the coughing and sneezing I've been doing. This helps with all that. That just helps with the sore throat. This helps a little bit, but not nearly as much as that does. All right, now, Rough Rider said they'd move the heart up a little bit, and I see what you're saying, but the way that they've got this offset done and the way they've got it flattened, if you moved it up a little bit at the bottom, and I'm guessing you would move the bottom heart up. Bottom. I'm guessing you mean the inner heart, not the bottom heart, but the inner heart. Or if you're talking about where I've got it in the quadrant, you'll see. It's all going to make sense here in a minute. Unfortunately, some will not recognize the quote. Yeah, like I said, showing our age. If you lower the I, you can offset it better. Yeah, and like I said, and this is an unrehearsed design that I would probably spend the better part of 3 or 4 hours really tweaking it and making it super fine if it's something I'm going to sell. But this is a demonstration purpose that I will make this file available for you to download for free. But this is more of how to do it. And you can have this if you want it. But now you see how to do it. And yes, you can tweak it and make it even that much better for your end use. Couldn't you node edit the bump? You could have, I could have whenever, and what Mike is talking about is whenever the offset got that outer piece, I could have went into node editing and selected those nodes and simply deleted them. But I was wanting to show how there are more, and that's one thing that some people get caught up in LightBurn. There's only one way, or it's the best way, or it's the preferred way. There's not one way to do something in LightBurn. I just showed you, I did that weld of that offset in 2 different ways, and it had two different results, and you could have gotten to the same end result with the node editing of the first way, but by doing it the second way, you didn't have to do the node editing. So it's another thing that I'm trying to do here is not show you just one way to do something or my preferred way to do something, because again, I say it many times. I've said it many times. People are right brain and left brain people. You have analytical people and you have artistic people. For any of you guys that are out there, guys and gals that have got an engineering background, I can't understand half of what you guys are talking about. My brain doesn't work like your brain. And it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just I see things more from an artistic point of view than I do an engineering point of view. I don't have a problem figuring out how to engineer things. It's just I approach things not so much from an analytical standpoint as I do a creative standpoint. And people do those things differently. People see, and that's why I will show one or two ways to do something. Let's see. Question mark from Carl. How about changing the vertical spacing of the letters? Yep. I couldn't have done that with the brush script, because if I had changed, that vertical spacing was just spacing them apart from that way. Horizontal with the brush script would have broken the weld apart and they wouldn't have been connected like the script. But again, this is just a quick demonstration, and it'll be available for anybody that wants it. And now you'll have the knowledge to how to do this if you wanted to do it. Even if you took this free download that will be available to you guys and say, you know what, I'm going to edit that and change it. Now you know how to fix any one part of it you don't like, and you don't have to redesign the entire thing. Just redesign the parts you don't want. Ba, 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 ba. Jeff is trying to, what he's saying is flip the right heart vertical so the wide part is toward the bottom. That would get you you may not have as much waste, but depending on how you're going to finish your product. You look at that base, you see how the grain is continuous? That's because of the way I lay it out on the wood when I cut it out. Those are small details that make all the difference in the world on what I would consider to be a quality finished product. If you had, one grain running one way, one grain running another, and the other, to me, it looks like it was thrown together with scrap pieces. So if I was to rotate that one of those hearts to where the grain's running differently, if I wasn't going to, and even if you do paint it, you can still see the grains in them. I just like to have that continuity. And that's part of my OCD. I will, to maintain continuity in a design, I will create some waste. I will sacrifice that material to keep the continuity. Yeah, Dwight, yeah, rotating them will allow you to nest them better, but that's, I just explained that. I think the alcohol would help out a little more. This is going to be a fun project when I finally get to reveal it to you guys. It's here for a purpose. It's not here for consumption. I have sampled it, and I'm actually going to be making my own flavor with the what does he call that? That's the original. It's non-flavored. I'm going to make my own flavor just for the heck of doing it. But this is for an upcoming project and video that you guys will be getting to see very soon. Yeah, it's rough on those ribs, man. I tell you what. Looking for questions before I can jump back over here and finish this up. Is it at the App Store? I don't know what you're asking about. Chicago Bob says he's neither right-brained or left-brained. He's a no-brain. And Mike says, yeah, all that matters is that you get the result you're looking for. And that's it. How you get there is really irrelevant. Some people like to say, well, that's the wrong way, or there's a lot better way, or it don't matter. If you get there, you get there. Can you move the eye closer to the love? I could have, if I had done the font, or if I would put in the letter I and then created a new line of text. But what I did here was put I, enter, love, enter, you. So that spacing, as I move, I could change the vertical spacing and it would move all of the words closer together. But then that was just squeezing them, all three of them. The only way to move just the I would have been to do I and a new line of text, and then love and a new line of text. Then you could have moved each of them individually. Yeah, Jeremy said always match the grain. Yep. Dayquil flavor. I didn't know they had more than one Dayquil flavor. The Dayquil flavor, it's orange. I don't know what flavor that is, but it's orange. The NyQuil is that blue or purple stuff, and that's been a godsend too. Helped me get through the night. All right. Okay, so now let's get back over to the design and do the base and the slots for the base. And then we're going to talk about how you can take this design, and not just this one, but all of these designs that I have now out there. And for you guys that were late to the party, for the for those who don't celebrate Valentine's Day, this is my Cupid is stupid, and got Cupid in the crosshairs, and there's a broken heart that is a little more noticeable in person than it is looking at it here straight on. But I'm going to show you how to take all of these designs and scale them up really easily, and what roadblocks you have to do. And before I switch over, a question just popped up. What do you mean by match the grain? Well, the grain in the plywood, you see how that's the grain. The grain's all running one way. So if I got a heart here and a heart here, and then I got another one down here, but I rotate it or change its orientation to nest it better, then these grains are going to be running vertical and or horizontal, or vice versa, and then these are going to be running different. So keeping all of those, or the orientation on all three pieces exactly the same, will keep that grain lined up. And then when I'm getting ready to do is I'm getting ready to create the three pieces for the base, and they're going to be stacked one on top of the other, and that grain is going to be running continuously through all three pieces, so that when they're stacked, hopefully you can see this, that you see the grain pattern, how that's just all continues straight down like a fault, like a waterfall. The grain flows. Okay. All right, back to LightBurn. All right, so if I'm going to I want to have the bottom of my base to be 145. because that's how wide my heart is. So I'm going to just draw out a rectangle right now, 145. And I'm going to put a radius on it. But now I've got to think about a couple of things. And I'm going to come back to me for a second so you're not staring at an unactive screen. I've got to design this base. I want the bottom piece to be 145 millimeters wide so that it comes out to where it's about the same as the width of the piece, right? But the offset of each of these, I'm going to do a 10 millimeter offset. And why is that important? Because I need to design all three of these pieces so that they fit into a 145 by 145 square quadrant of my 300 by 300 material. And if I want to try, and I'm going to have more room than that, but initially that's what I'm going to strive for. So that's I'm thinking it's kind of like chess. I'm thinking 2 and 3 steps ahead so that I don't design the first and second piece only to find out that now the third piece is either going to be too small or too big. It ain't going to work. So what I'm going to do, and it might be unnecessary, but that's just the way that this Dayquil fogged of a brain works. All right, back to LightBurn. In fact, just for giggles, because I've actually got a whole lot more room than 145 by 145 from top to bottom, but I really only have about 145 in width, and I don't really want to go any wider than that. So just for giggles, I'm going to draw out a square. That wasn't a square because I didn't hold my shift button. That's okay. We're going to say 145 by 145, not 1145, 145. And I'm going to put that on a toolpath and send that down to the bottom corner of this toolpath. So bottom and right. So now I'm going to look at potentially trying to keep this within this area here. And I need to get three pieces. So in fact, if I said, come back up here to select this rectangle, if I need to get 3 pieces into a 145 millimeter area, then the tallest it could possibly be would be the height here. So 145 divided by 3 be 48.33 millimeters. But I'm going to be reducing these next 2 pieces by 10 millimeters each. So 20 millimeters. So this actually could be even wider. So I'm going to say 50. We'll just say we'll make this 60 millimeters. And that may end up being too wide because it depends on how much space we're going to have we're going to put in between these as well, and what's going to look good. But if I was to take and just put a radius on here, and I don't know if you guys seen Rich's preview for 1.5, they're going to have some really nice things on there. Right now, you have to put in what you want your radius to be, but in 1.5, you'll actually be able to stretch and change your radius right here without having to, and you can just go by looks and without having to know what size you want. Because that radius really isn't big enough. And if you put a radius in and you don't like it, all you got to do is come back up here and click it again, and it'll get rid of your radius. So I don't like that. Get rid of that one. And if you don't know, since we know that the height of this is 60 millimeters, then you should be able to do a 30 millimeter radius and it come to the middle. There you go. I'm on there and there. And I like that better. So now I'm going to put my slots in here. Now I'm going to right now go to my square tool, and I'm going to come over here to this piece right here. And I'm going to come right up here till I get that turns into a crosshair. So now it's just you're on the line, but as soon as you get to the corner, it becomes a crosshair. And I'm zooming in so you can see it. There's a crosshair with the circle in it. I can start drawing out a rectangle until I get to this one with the crosshair. There we go. Now that's the exact size of that. And I can simply just drag. I didn't want to create another one. I meant to select it. So delete that. And now just drag that down here. Now, all three of these slots are going to be the same size because these were just duplicates of one another. So now I can take this and tell it to go to the center line and duplicate it 2 times with Control D, move it down and move that down. And then I can look and see, well, now this is actually going to be the bottom. So I'm not going to worry about my spacing on this one just yet. I'm going to first do an inward offset, inward with a round. Do not delete your original. Select the resulting, and I'm going to do 10 millimeters and say okay. Now I'll bring that one down here, do another offset, and 10 millimeters might be too much. I'm not going to have room for my. Well, yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. I'm messing myself up. Let's do that and see what we get. Because this is my material. Well, that's another thing to think about. Here, I'm designing this thinking about I'm going to be using 3 millimeter wood, but you might be doing it out of 4 or 4.7 millimeter wood out of some of that Lowe's stuff. So here it's 5 millimeters in height, which is, close to what that Lowe's material would be. And if I had 3 slots that size, and they'd never fit here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these, and I'm going to do offsets of 5 millimeters, not 45, 5, and say okay. Move it down. I can just leave it there and just do offset another one of 5 millimeters. Okay. Now that should work. But I'm not going to get it all in that 145, but that's okay because I got room. So now I'm going to select my slots, move them up here out of the way for a second. That's going to work. All right. Let's see. Now what I want to do is I'm going to actually bring them down here to this is because this is the top layer. And I want to position these, and I'm going to change these right now to 3 millimeters in height. And select them all, put them all on center, group them. Actually, no, I'm going to ungroup those first. And we'll make sure that they are distributed evenly with even space between them. That looks good. Now group them. And now hold my shift key and select that one and put it in center. All right, and that looks like that's pretty good, where it looks like those are evenly spaced from the front edge to the back edge, and that looks like it's pretty much right in the very center. So those need to be put on a cut path. And now just duplicate, Control D, select that, put it in the center. And now here is where I do something a little bit different. I'm going to right now group all of those, and now select all that, tell them to align center, and an Alt-Shift-V. Now they're all stacked right on top of each other. I can get rid of this little toolpath. You can see it didn't go much bigger than the 145. In fact, I could probably, no, not it's close, but I've got all of that on one piece of 300 by 300 material. Now, the reason I did not put the slots in this bottom layer is I got my deer in the headlight and the rectangles there, but the bottom is clean. I only make my tabs long enough to go through the first and second layer so that the bottom is nice and clean. You can put your logo on there, what have you, and it just is a nicer, cleaner fit finish. The only thing is whenever you go to resize your slots and tabs, you have to make sure that you are thinking about that when you're setting your slots and tabs widths and lengths, and we're going to do all that right now. Actually, before we do that, I'm just going to look back and see, is there any questions? All right. Yeah, Jesse's saying he just bought it and now they're coming out when he's thinking something. No, Jesse, you're not going to be charged for your updates. Once you've got it, all your updates. In fact, that's what Mike's saying. Yeah, you won't be charged for your updates and your new versions. This is a crazy software, man. I wish that most of the design software worked like LightBurn does, where it's not a monthly subscription. They're not dinging you every time you turn around. I looked at something. What was I looked at today? I think I looked at Adobe Illustrator today. I want to learn that, but I think it was the cheapest one I found was like $22 a month. A month. It's just a subscription to use for the rights to use it. It's $20. If nothing else, they should give it to me so I can teach people how to do it. I'll figure it out and teach them like I'm doing LightBurn here. I'm not going to, because I'm not using it to generate any actual revenue in itself, but I'm not paying $22 a month for the right to learn something like that. Do you want them to be 2.8 millimeters? I actually, some of these I did today were 2.6 millimeters, and that's what we're getting ready to talk about. Okay, lots of interaction here. Question mark. Do you cut your slots exactly the same widths as your wood thicknesses? We're getting ready to discuss that in detail. In fact, I don't normally give away, or I don't give away. I don't give away files or sell files typically that I haven't designed and built and tested myself and know that they work beyond a shadow of a doubt. That's why I say when you get any of my files on hobowithwood.com, they have been designed in LightBurn because that's the only software that I design with. And if you look at all of the images of all of the files that I'm selling on hobowithwood.com, unlike the stuff you see on Etsy, it is not a rendering of the design in the software. It's a physical product. I've got, the Amazing Grace crosses. I've got all, I've designed these. I've made them. I know they work, and I do that for a couple of reasons. Mainly because I want to make sure that what I'm selling does work, and then two, if I've got that on my website promoting it for sale, You can't rightly copy it and trace it and put it in LightBurn and go make your own. And you can do that with some of those files on Etsy. You can they've got enough information on there and they didn't watermark it. You can just copy it and trace it and put it in there and you don't even pay them for nothing. Shouldn't be doing that, but you can. And because you can do that and people out there do that, I don't do that. I have physical representations of the products and no designs. And speaking of that, I've had the question come up several times this week. I got to get a drink. About people using my files and selling the product. I encourage you to do that. I do not license my stuff. I don't tell you this is for personal use only. If you go to a craft show every time you get a chance to, come spring and summer, you're out every weekend doing something, and you like some of these designs, take them, make 100 of them, sell them for 100 a piece, make $100 million, get rich and fat and plump off my designs. And when you do go, oh yeah, Hobo helped me with that, I'm gonna send him a little something extra. I do not discourage you from selling my product. Go out and have fun with it. The only thing that I frown upon is for people to take the design and then try and rebrand it and make it their own and resell it. You know, you don't sell my designs. Sell the products. Make all the products you want and sell the product all day long. All right. Any more questions before we go? There's a question mark. Andy. Hey, Andy. Did you want the base width to be 145 millimeters? Currently, I think the largest is 122. What you talk? Oh, and that was after the radius. What happened after I put the radius on there? Should have been close though. That sure is. Well, and that's easy enough to overcome. Once I the RC Cola just ain't doing it. Probably ain't going to go to sleep tonight. I don't know if I just missed that whenever I redid it or if the radius did that, but it's simple enough to overcome right now, and we'll do that before I move on. Let's see here. Shop Nina says Inkscape is free and similar to AI. I'm not familiar with that one. I wanted to learn Adobe Illustrator simply because it is so popular. It's very popular and it has a really nice things. I have to look at Inkscape and see how well it compares. Patrick from Light Source, and I always get that wrong, and my brain just short circuits. I've been working with Patrick for a year now, and I always want to say Light Source Engraving or Light Source. I think it's Light Source Everything. I think. In fact, now that it's on my mind, I'm going to confirm that he started a new what do you call that, new podcast, and it was pretty cool. I don't have the same types of lasers he's got, but I still like watching what he's doing. Let's see here. And y'all know it because let's see. Light Source. Is it Light Source Engraving? Yeah, Light Source Engraving, not Light Source Everything. Light Source Engraving. He's got a new podcast or new going on, and go over and subscribe to his channel. I like watching those fibers work. They're a whole lot cooler to watch than these slow motion diodes. Beauty Bubble says, Hobo, help me with that. Trademark. I purchased the Christmas ornament package and sold quite a few. Also used it as a template and made a Star Trek version. Oh, wow. Cool. Yeah. The Christmas ornaments did really well. I'm kind of hoping that this hunting package does as well as the others do. the ornaments did. What's Russ saying? I thought I saw a tool that you made for the Amazing Grace to line up the slot. Yes, I did. I had a little small tool that helped for the alignment process. Yep. Jeremy is the other partner with Patrick. It's called The Frequency. And we're going to try to do it every other Wednesday. And I watched them the other night until the NyQuil kicked in. Very entertaining and very informative if you have those fiber lasers. Frequency. Love that movie. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was a good movie. All right. Let's get back over here to LightBurn. And so, yeah, somewhere along the way, these got changed down. The widest one's only 122 millimeters. So what I can do, if I really wanted to be super OCD about it, just ungroup these right now. And then grab those three and hold my shift button and drag these out. Not my shift, my control button. Undo. Grab the three of them. Control. And drag them out until I get to where that's about 145. That's 136. There's 140. That's close. So now I can take that, move it up, and then grab those three, group them back, put them in the center, group them, put them in the spot, group them and put them in the center. All right. Now, this is done. It's designed, and it can be cut out. In fact, I'm going to cut this out. While I'm going to throw a piece of material on the laser. Things are probably going to get a little bit noisy because I'm going to need to turn on some fans for exhaust, and you'll have the laser going. Plus, the heat's going to want to kick on a little more often because I'm going to have to open the window to vent. And it's what is the temperature right now? It is a wonderful 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Woo! Yeah. I'm going to open the window, have the fan drawing all my heat out. But I'm going to throw a 300 by 300 piece of material on my laser and cut this out. But before I do, I need to make sure that everything is sized properly for this material. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my material and I'm going to measure the thickness of this. And this one, just like the ones earlier today, is 2.6 millimeters on average. 2.7, 2.7. So that running 2.7. That's 2.6, 2.65, 2.7. We'll go 2.65. So someone is asking about how I cut it out that same size as the material, the thickness, the same thickness of the material. Whenever I'm working with slots, especially when I'm doing inner slots like these, I do cut it out to the same thickness of the material because I want a good tight fit. And the laser, normally the curve of the laser might make it a little bit sloppy, but because it's the inner slots are funnier than slots and tabs like these. These, I've got my curve set right, and I'll have a real tight fit where I can put them together with no glue. But I will do my inner slots the same thickness of the material, and then if I find that it's not going to go together quite right, I can take and sand just the bottom part of that tab, both sides, kind of give it a little bit of a taper, and then work it into place. You're going to always remove a little bit of material, but you can't add it if it's sloppy. So I like to leave it tight, and then if I have to sand it down, I can. And in fact, I'm going to cut this out, and then we'll go ahead and assemble it because it goes together quick. And when I'm assembling the top 2 layers with the slots, I don't even glue those together initially. I'm putting them together, slide my pieces in, and then I apply glue. But now this one measured 2.65 on average. So if I go over, and before I switch, Mike's got a question. What Mike say? When you were taking measurements, where were you looking for the average? Well, I went around all 4 side, or the perimeter of all 4 sides, and with my calipers, I can only measure down, an inch or so, and I'll just, take a measurement in 3 places, and that one measured all 2.6, but that one's measuring 2.7, 2.7, 2.6. 2.7, 2.6, 2.5. So I'm 2.65 because it's been as high as 2.7, as low as 2.5, but 2.65 is going to be a tight fit. I will be happy to sand some off instead of having it be a loose, sloppy fit. So 2.65. Now, I've got 2 layers though that I'm going to be putting my slot through at 2.65. So 2.65 times 2 is how long I want those tabs to be on the hearts. So let's jump back over to LightBurn switch. All right. So, and when you're going to change your slots and tabs, these are all grouped together. This is all grouped. Of course, this is a single piece. You cannot adjust your slots and tabs whenever things are grouped. So I'm going to ungroup. And I feel like I got a sneeze coming on, guys. I don't want to do that to you, but we'll see how it goes. All right. So if I select that, and actually, you know what? I don't even know what the size of this is right now. So I need to go get my ruler and measure the current height. And right now it says it's 5.84 millimeters on that one. That one's 5.84. They should be all 5.84. Nope, it's 5.81. This one is 5.84. So 5.81. So it's a little bit taller on one side than the other. Well, should not be a problem though. 5.84. Say okay. So now we're going to select each of those, and we'll go to Tools, Resize Slots in Selection. And the old material thickness is 5.84 millimeters. And we want to do our tab height. And right now, it is showing it's picking up all 3 of them because I used the ruler and checked it. But if you find yourself trying to resize slots in selection or your tabs and it's not picking up all of those, then come down here to your tolerance and increase your tolerance to maybe 0.5 millimeter or 0.8 millimeter. And then you'll start seeing that it's picking up pieces that you didn't see before. But you want to be careful that you don't make it so large that it's picking up all kinds of stuff that you don't want to change. Here, we will only want to change these tab heights, and those are the only 3 things indicating movement. And so we can say, okay. But now, how the new material thickness needs to be what? Well, I said, I'm opening up my Windows calculator, 2.65 times 2, 5.3 millimeters. So 5.3. And say, okay. So now those are going to be the thickness of these 2 pieces. And because I'm cutting it out of one, and this is really important too. So I'm going to come to me. We're cutting this out of the one solid piece of the 300 by 300. So the thickness of the tabs on the bottom of those hearts is going to be this. You know that when you cut those out, that those slots for this needs to be that. And what I'm trying to say is, if when we go to enlarge this in a second, and you might end up, if you're going to make this and where one heart is going to be on just one of the three pieces is going to be cut out of this, you're going to want to try and find three pieces of material that have the same thickness. Because if you're not careful, you'll have one heart that's 2.6. The next one's going to be 2.8. Then you might have another one that's 3.1. So you want to try and find three pieces of material that have the same thickness if you're going to be enlarging this. And if you can't find three that are the same, then what you're going to do is just go ahead and cut out your hearts. Cut them out. Don't worry about the thickness of the material, because you're going to have this one on one piece, this one. Once you've got your three pieces cut out, and then it's time to cut out the base, then you take your mics and measure each one of those and adjust the slots according to the actual material that you've cut them out of. Because you may have three different variants, and each of those slots may need to be different. But because we're doing this all out of the same piece of wood, we're golden. But be careful of that when you go and enlarge this. So now I can, and these are all grouped, so they're going to have to be ungrouped. So if I select like that and just tell it ungroup and go into tools, resize slots in selection. And this one, in fact, again, I don't know what, I think I did those at 3 millimeter, but I don't know. I can't remember if we used our ruler. Go in here and check this. It's 3 millimeters. Sure enough. Okay. So now I've got those selected. I need to go into tools, resize slots in selection. The old material thickness is 3 millimeters. And I want it to be 2.65. And I'll need to do the slot width this time. No, not the slot width. I just want to change it. This, oh, well, that's because I put 30 in here, stupid. There you go, dummy. Golly. Did you see that? I had fat fingered it and had 30 millimeters in there. So it was recognizing the width of it instead of the height of it. But the arrows right here indicate the direction of movement. So I was able to recognize I screwed up something. All right. So now that's going to get those three and say, okay. So that's all resized and ready to cut out. Now, before I put this on the laser and start cutting it out, I'm going to come back over here and look at any questions. All right. Ed says, how do you slide the bases together and only make one pass when cutting? Okay. Go back over here. I'm going to move this up a wee bit. I'm going to select all of these and group this back together. Group it. Just budge out of the way and grab all these and group those. All right. You can, and what Ed is talking about is to make only one pass when cutting. If right now, with the way these are currently spaced, if I select these three items and go to preview, you've got all of these pieces and it's showing 2 minutes and 37 seconds to cut it out. And if we watch this cut out, it makes sense. It's going to cut out that oval, cut out that oval, and then the last one, 237. But if you come over here to your optimization settings and you turn on this lower setting right here, remove overlapping lines, then with all of these are all grouped. Everything is locked in place as far as the slots. If I just select all of these and then you hit the Alt Alt-Shift-V, V for Victor or vertical, Alt-Shift-V. It's going to pull them all together. And now when I look at the preview, because this is a simple job, it went from 237 to 221. Took off 16 seconds. Because now what it's going to do, it's going to cut out that part of the oval and then stop. And then come up here and cut out these slots. And then cut out this oval. And then, bam, there's where it starts to overlap. So now it's going to only cut that line once. And then it's going to jump to the next oval. And then cut out only once where it overlaps. So depending on what design you're working with, by removing overlapping lines and putting those right up against each other, that is going to save you potentially a ton of time. But Alt-Shift-V, and if you come up here to arrange and distribute, if you ever forget, Alt-Shift-V is move vertically together. And you also have an Alt-Shift-H, which is move horizontally together. And this works, the distribution and these shortcuts and this tool, if you don't want to use the shortcuts, will work regardless where you're at in LightBurn, whether you're on the work table here or you're over here. Depending on the size of my project, I may be designing over here, and the Alt-Shift H and Alt-Shift-V will work. But when you're on the work bed in LightBurn, there's another way you can do it, and that's with the docking tools. And the docking tools are these over here. And if you look at it real close on your computer, it will show two objects, and then on one side of one of the objects, it'll have these squiggly lines that are indicating movement. So this one right here is going to, in fact, if I select this one and come up here, it should, yeah, right there. My cursor's in my way, and it is on yours too. But it says dock objects to the left. This one is dock objects to the right. This one is dock objects upward, and this one is downward. And it's got the little squiggly lines on the top. So if I just select that and go up, it's going to dock it right up against the next one. If I grab these two and say dock up, it's going to dock it right up against the next one. But the docking tools will only work when you're on the work table. When you're only on this, within this black square, you come off of the work area, the work table, docking tools will not work. All right. Let's see. And Chris says, yeah, I use docking instead of Alt-Shift-V and H. And Chris, I used docking always whenever I'm on the working table until Rich, Louisiana hobby guy, told me about that distribute Alt-Shift-V and H, because Alt-Shift-V and H work always. Doesn't matter if you're on the work area or not. And so now that I've found it, it's now become my go-to. And also, and just because, in fact, I'm just curious now. If I move these down and move this down, if I grab both of those and tell it to dock up, yep, that works too. It's another demonstration of there's always more than one way, and there's unless you're not on the work table. If you're off the work table, then docking doesn't work. So, but when you're on the work table, yeah, either one will work fine. John, will that overlap line stop it from cutting the same line if it has a double vector somewhere on your project? I guess it would depend on the layer. If it was, I don't know. Well, real quick test though. If you've got that and we just duplicate it, say Control D, duplicate that. So now there's two of them sitting there. And we go to preview. Yep, it did. Because it's only making one pass and there are two squares there. And I can prove that by moving that down a little bit. And now select both of those and go to preview. And what it should do is something funky. So yeah, there starts out. And now it should jump. Yeah, so it's jumping. Now it starts cutting again. And it'll come down and jump all the way there and cut those. So yeah. And I think what he's referring to is a lot of the designs you get from other places, they will have, and especially a lot of things that are not created in LightBurn, sometimes will have 2 and 3 copies of the same thing right on top of each other. But they would have to be right on top of each other, or you would have to have your tolerance set high enough that it would eliminate those. And there is a setting here in your optimization settings. Let's get rid of this. If you go to optimization settings, when you turn on your remove overlapping lines, right here, this distance, this is what you would change to what you consider to be overlapping lines. What is your margin of error? This is what is that? 200 25 hundredths of a millimeter. So if you wanted to increase that, so if the lines were actually within, a tenth of a millimeter, it would be considered an overlapping line. You could do that. Now, another thing you can do, I think. Well, I'm not going to go down that. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. We're not going to go on rabbit holes. But yes, John, that demonstration showed that remove overlapping lines, if they are truly overlapping and they're on the same layer, it would eliminate that. If it was on a separate layer, if you had a black line and a red line on 2 different layers with 2 different settings, it may not work. But I'm not going to chase that rabbit hole right now, because we're an hour and 43 in here, and I still want to cut this out and try it. And we got 106 people still with us. This is awesome, guys. All right. So now, so I've resized the tabs. I've resized the slots. So this should be ready to cut out of this material that I've got here. So I'm going to get everything set up and get this on the laser and start cutting this out. And while it's cutting out, what I'm going to do is show you how to scale this image so that you could do it out of multiple sheets of 300 by 300 to make them even bigger, and how you're going to resize the slots and shapes and the tabs and all that for when you do that. So let's get this set up. Just take me just a second here. I did mention I've got to open the window, right? And it's 20 degrees outside. Oh boy. Oh yeah, it's 20 degrees outside. Okay. right, now. Question for you, and you guys can decide this. If go back over here to LightBurn real quick. I've grouped all of this. Yep, grouped it, and I'm gonna move it down to my lower corner. I love you. Cut out or engraved. Cut out the font so you see the background. So if you were going to paint it, like I said, you might do the front heart pink and then the I love you white and then in the back red, and then you could see the red through the. What do you think? Cut it out or engrave it? Cut out, cut out, cut them, cut out. I think so too. So we're gonna leave this cut out. All right. So I'm gonna select all that, and I'm going to check my settings, and that looks good. The laser's behind me. I'm not going to worry about. I got my Elvis glasses right here, but with the laser behind me, I'm not going to worry about it right now. Oh, let's see. You know what? Let's see here. Someone pointed out a good point. Dwight, you might lose the inside of the E and the O. So let's go take a look at that real quick. Thank you, Dwight. Yeah. So this is going to cut and fall away. This is going to be solid. And that's going to fall away. So yeah, the O and the E, the O's are not going to work because this is not a stencil font. But let me show you how easy that is to fix. This is not a major problem. This is not a big issue. I'm just going to draw a rectangle. And I want to make it look as good as possible. So I'm actually going to convert that to a path, right click, convert to a path, node edit, and just drag this node up here like so, and drag this one over here, and same thing here. And I will A, subtract B, done. And same thing over here. And I should have made a copy of that one. I know it's just the other O. So I'll make a copy of whatever I do here for this one. And I'm going to do this one, convert it to a path, right click, convert to a path, and then bring it up here. Go to node editing, move this down here a little bit, bring this node over here. Come on, get right there in the corner. And I'll bring this node over here to that corner. And I'm going to duplicate this one because I got another O down there. So Control D, duplicate it, and bring that one over here for right now. And just say A, subtract B, done. And I didn't quite get that one in there good. So undo. And let's get those nodes up there a little bit better. Be a little bit proud. That'll be fine. And say A subtract B. Done. Come down here, do the same thing. Drag you up there. Come on. Didn't mean to do that, but we're already there, so it don't matter. Make that proud. Bring you over here. A subtract B. Delete, or there we go. Now, those will stay together. I think that got it right. All right. So now that's done. So let's send this to the laser and get that to cutting. So start. Oh, you know what? I need to change that back to a toolpath. I don't need to cut the whole outer piece out. Oh, ungroup it all. Put that on a toolpath. I just messed up my base. I don't know when I did that. Show you what I did. Somewhere during all that, I've messed up my bases down here. So I'm just simply doing my undo button until I find out where I messed it up. There it is. So now, oh, I know what it was, because I had all that grouped. That's why. Everything, is it still all grouped now? Yeah, ungroup it all. And now I can come in here and edit those. Way to go, dum-dum. There. Sorry, guys. I didn't think this through about that font, and Dwight was actually spot on. Thanks for paying attention to what I wasn't paying attention to. Convert to a path, show my nodes. We'll crop that out of there. Control D, duplicate it. Move you down here. Now A, subtract B. A, subtract B. All right. Now, start. So if you're following along with me, that might be a little bit frustrating whenever I screw up and you have to go undo, unless you're smarter than I am and you didn't screw up when I screw up. All right. Yep. Yeah, I had everything grouped when I did the weld, Chris, and that's what screwed it up. And that's what I'm doing now. Cutting it out. If the slots were too big in your two top pieces, you could put the hearts in the slots and move the top piece a fraction of a millimeter to bind the fit while gluing. It would be unnoticeable. My brain's not registered right now if the slots were too. When I go to assemble it, you might see what I do. But I want them tight. I'd rather have them tight than the slots too big. Yeah, I'm not a moon pie. I'm not a moon pie guy, Jack. I don't like moon pies. Marshmallowy anything. I don't even like marshmallows. I don't like roasted marshmallows. I like Rice Krispie treats, and that's about the only way I like my marshmallows. Um, yeah, no moon pies. Well, seeing the mistakes are so valuable. Well, it's a good thing I don't charge for people watching my mistakes because that would cost a ton. Because boy, do I make them. Uh, okay. Now, while this is cutting out, oh my goodness, uh, what's a moon pie? And I'm guessing, I don't know if that's Terry DNZ. Is that New Zealand? If that is New Zealand, maybe you don't have moon pies down there, but moon pies are a snack cake here. And I think it's a graham cracker. It's chocolate covered graham cracker with a marshmallow filling, I think. I just know I don't like them. Never have cared for them. All right, now while this is cutting out, let's jump over here to LightBurn. And what's your thoughts on 1.5? I think 1.5 is going to be a huge improvement because they've got there's at least two of the things in LightBurn that I brought to their attention at LBX that are in the 1.5 that were greatly needed. So I'm really looking forward to 1.5. All right, back to LightBurn. All right, so I'm going to select everything. Then I'm going to hold control and deselect the toolpath. So now, and that's one way you could have done it, or I could have just come over here and held my shift button and select and then left click on this cut and layer, the red layer, and that's going to select the entire thing, and I'm going to group it. Now that that's grouped, and it does not include the toolpath, and I want to scale this up, I'm going to make sure that I do it all in one movement, making sure that I scale every piece at the same time. And if I want this heart to utilize the majority of a 300 by 300 piece of material, I'm going to hold my control button, come down here, and just start scaling this up, paying attention to the size of the heart. And that's just a little bit too large. So now I can just scale it down and then position that. And that's about as big as you're going to get out of there. And now by scaling that all up at once, everything's going to fit. Now it's a matter of making sure that you get your slots and tabs to the right measurements. So to do that, I'm going to move it over here so I can see it easier instead of not half on and half off the work table. I'm going to ungroup everything because you cannot change your slots and tabs when you have grouped items. But now that we've stretched this and we've scaled it up, we don't know how large those tabs are. So you've got to use your ruler to find out what that height is. And here, if you just select one, it tells you the height is 5.157. So now it's a matter of how thick is your material. And I would suggest if you're going to be making them this large, that you're not making them out of 3 millimeter material, but you're making it out of that 4 or 4.5 millimeter or 4.7 millimeter stuff from Lowe's. Because when you go this large with it and you try to make it out of this 3 millimeter material, it's really flimsy and it's wobbly, it's frail, because you're only going to have, if you're doing it out of 3 millimeter material, your tab's only going to be potentially, if you're going through 2 layers, what was that, about 5.5 millimeter tab sticking out for that to slide into. And no matter how tight your kerf is and how tight you get it, that little bitty tab trying to hold all that mass in place, it's going to be wobbly. So if you're going to be making them this big, I would suggest making them out of that thicker box store stuff instead of this hobby wood. So the majority of the wood that I get from my local box store is about 4.7 millimeters. So I would use that particular measurement. But before I do anything, I got to go find out what this got scaled up to. So I'm going to get my ruler and come over here and double check that. And this is 10.31 millimeters. So I say, okay, select it all. Tools, resize slots and selection. The old material was 10.31, I think it was, 10.31. I'm changing my tab height, and it's going to be 4.7 for my new material, 4.7 millimeters. And I want to look and just make sure that there's nothing crazy that's being recognized as a tab, because when you've scaled it up so big, it might recognize part of this heart or part of these arrows as a tab when it's actually part of a design. And so you make sure you're only going to be changing what you're looking for. And I'm going to show you something real quick. I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole, but I'm going to show you how to fix that when it does happen. If it recognized, say it recognized this and you didn't want it to, you only wanted to change these two for some reason, or this was not actually a tab, but it's recognizing it as a tab. The way you change that is you come in here and you look at the nodes. This node here, 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 and here. There's 4. Oops, I just moved that. Undo. It recognizes 4 nodes as a tab. So if you just come over here and put a node anywhere in the bottom of this, and now when you go back into resize slots and look at tab height, it only recognizes that as a tab and that as a tab. This is no longer a tab because it's no longer 4 nodes. That 5th node made it unrecognizable as a tab. So cancel that. We don't want that. So now I'm going to come over that and get rid of it. Go back in there and resize, change my tab height to 4.7. Done. And now I need to change my slot width. And this is one of the things that is going to be new in 1.5. And it's one of the requests that I made. I just changed that to 4.7. And when I did, the tool closed. In 1.5, when you do the resize slots and selection, version 1.5 has another button right here that's the apply button. So now I want to change my slot width. And I need to change this. Was 5 something. There we go. And now it's going to move here. But with the apply button, you can hit apply and it would make the changes you just requested it to. And then you can go right back in and change the tabs and say, okay, you don't have to go into the tool 2 different times to make the alterations. But that quick, I just scaled that image up. It's ready to cut out now to where these are going to be close to 1 foot tall. This is going to be a much larger base. And everything's been resized. So now let's look and see. The laser has quit. Let's see if there are any questions about what's been going on. All right. Dale says there's banana flavored moon pies. Don't think I'd care for that much either. I like banana pudding, but I don't think I'd want a banana flavored marshmallow chocolate covered. All right. Yeah, off topic a little bit, but yeah, one of the new things in 1.5 is the warp tool for tapered tumblers, and it's kind of ironic that that's in 1.5 because one of my last videos, I think in December, I showed how to compensate for tapered items on the rotary and showed all the math and how to do it without having that tool. And now the tool's going to be in LightBurn, and you don't need to know how to do that. But some folks just like to know how the cake is made, you know? And that's a good video to watch if you want to understand the math behind it. And then some people are like, math? That's a 4-letter word. Thank you, no thank you. Question mark. I did not know that you could mess with LightBurn while it's cutting. Wow. Yeah, you can, because once you hit start, you've sent the code to the console and the laser's doing its thing. No matter what you're doing now, it's after you've sent that job there, it's not going to affect what the laser's doing. The only problem with that is if this right now, if I go to pick this up off the laser and something didn't cut all the way through, or I need to send the job back out, if I change what was sent to the laser, I've got, and if it was something I don't want to lose, well, I've got to undo till I get back to what I sent to the laser so I can resend it. So what I suggest doing is, if you wanted to be working in LightBurn while the laser is running, is open a second window of LightBurn. So you have two open windows of each of its LightBurn, and you're doing two separate jobs, and it's not going to affect what the laser is doing. Have you tried the beta 1.5? I just got it. Haven't tried it yet, but very excited. No, I have not worked with any of the beta versions. I don't. Did you get that off of the LightBurn forum? I'm not a beta tester. I've seen that Patrick has had it for a while and Rich has had it for a little bit, but I'm not a beta tester. And even though I'm in LightBurn all day, every day, you'd think maybe they would want somebody who is like myself. I might not know how to fix it, but I know how to break it. And ain't that who you want testing it? Somebody's going to break it. Hey, Carl. So I don't know how long you've been with us, but this is all revolving around the design you asked for. So those are all going to be in, or they're already on Hobo with Wood, but we're going to have coupons for those. And I've got a whole group of them now, not just the deer. But Carl says a moon pie is when you turn your back to someone and pull down your pants and show your butt. Let's see here. Any good ideas for Valentine's boxes? Yeah, aren't they called caskets? I don't do Valentines. Let's see. I missed something. Not as good as pineapple chunks. I missed something about the pineapple. Going to look for pineapple chunks because that's don't know what I missed, but believe it or not, that's what I'm going to be doing with the originals. I'm going to be making some pineapple flavored moonshine. All right, I'm just looking for any quick questions before I jump this off the laser. Sharon says that Rich and Patrick listed it. It's a public beta version. Okay. I don't have the lines of communication there that I'd like to. Don't you want the tabs 2? Don't you want the tabs 2 times 9 point? Somebody's paying attention. Somebody's paying attention. And what George is referring to is I resized those slots and tabs, and I didn't think about I wanted it 2 times the thickness of the material. And since I'm using 4.7 millimeter material, 2 times 4.7 is 9.4, and that tab height should be 9.4. But I'm not going to worry about that because that was just a demonstration on how to do it. But he is absolutely correct. George gets the gold star for tonight. He's the second one to catch me screwing up. And that may be what he's referring to. That's not right, LOL. Maybe he recognized it too. Okay, so that's your base pieces won't fit on one sheet. And if you're talking about the large where I scaled that up, maybe they won't. You might have to cut 2 pieces out and then cut a third piece. So when you scale it up, and that's when you're scaling it up, you're not trying to get them all out of one sheet. You're trying to get it as large as you can get it on a single sheet. And that's where you're going to have more waste. And if you're like me, you're going to have plenty of partial pieces laying around that you could cut a piece out here. And as long as when you cut those additional pieces out, here I've got this grain running horizontal. If I had another partial piece that the grain was running verticals, then I would want to make sure I at least kept the grain continuity the same when I'm cutting out of skeletons. And then that wouldn't be a big problem. Okay, let's get this off the laser. And this is a perfect example of what I was talking about. And this is a demonstration. This is not planned. Obviously, totally unscripted. The I love you heart did not cut out completely. And I've now changed all this in LightBurn, but I'm going to undo it all to get it back to there. But before I do that, this is something you can't do with just any laser. I'm going to pick this up off the bed and remove what fell out. Oh yeah, I got some bad plywood here. I got some funky things going on where it didn't want to cut through there. But this is what's really nice about the Rolly. The precision of this machine is second to none. I pick this up. Let me put this right back down here on the bed. Come back over here. And now I'm going to undo. And I need to cut out. I'm just going to cut out. Make sure I went back far enough and check my height here. Yep. Okay. I'm going to select those two and I'm going to hit start. and we'll see how good this laser is. Do you use your camera to set up your work? Only when I'm working with my skeletons. And when I say my skeletons, I've got a pile of partial pieces of material. And if I'm trying to get all the meat off the bone, then I'll use my camera. But whenever I'm doing something like this, I'm just cutting down a 12 by 12 piece. I position my down in the bottom left corner. And for this very reason, I've just put that right in that left corner. And if I have to go back to the laser with it, I can go right back to it. And this machine is going to replicate it without a problem. Carl's question. I get some like that don't cut through also. That's why I always lift up the far little edge a little and test. Yeah, and I just tap them, and you can tell by the sound if they're cut through or not. They didn't cut through. You can, and I knew before I picked it up, but I wanted to show how good this laser is, because in the laser that I had previously, the name that I shall not mention, there's no way in God's green earth that you could pick that thing up and then place it back on the laser and ever thought about resending the job out. But this thing is awesome. And Dave's asking me the cut setting for the 20 watt. So this is the 20 watt that I have. I think the 30 watt might be on the way. And this one, with this material and my current atmospheric conditions, we've had a lot of rain here, a lot of humidity, I'm only able to cut at about 400 or 420 millimeters a minute at 100% power. But that there though looked like there was a lot more glue than usual in this. I normally don't have that kind of problem. It might be one piece, but that was pretty raunchy there. Yeah, Cynthia, what Jack said. The Rolly does have the proper enclosure, but like right then when I was going to turn around and just stare directly at it and watch what was going on, Jack says, yeah, you need glasses with any laser. It's just better safe than not. There is this MK2 has got a removable bottom, and I have noticed that when it's cutting around the outer perimeter on the left side and at the lower, close to the front, you can actually see the laser bouncing around and coming out the bottom of the housing. And so if there was anything in there that it might reflect off of, because I do not have a clean and organized shop, just better safe than sorry. And it looks like we are getting really close to being done there. It's on its last outer perimeter. So the story with the RC Cola is I like RC. I just like it. I just like it because I like it. But here in the wonderful redneck town that I'm in, we have a Sundrop facility. Sundrop is a citrus cola, and they also bottle RC Cola. So this is locally bottled. And I think because it is locally bottled, and they have so much of it that's readily available. I can pick these up at the Dollar Tree for $1.25 a piece. You go to the grocery store and they're $2.49, almost $3 sometimes. So you can get them for $1 a piece at the $1.25 at the dollar store. I'll drink those all day long. I thought that thing was done. Oh, it's done on the first heart. Now it's on the second heart, and it's on its outer perimeter. This was a bad piece of wood, but that's what happens when you go do live. We'll see what kind of result we get here. Well, Dale, you got time to go to the little girl's room. Let's see here. Dave's asking, saw you have risers. Where did you get them? Those came from Patrick from Light Source Engraving. Lightsourcepro.com, I think, is his website. Let's take a look real fast because he does a really good job with them. I want to double check. Lightsourcepro.com. Is that right? No, that ain't right. It's lightsourceengraving.com. If you go over to Patrick's YouTube channel, lightsourceengraving.com, he'll have his links there. And this is my, like I said, I know it as well as I know my phone number, but my brain don't work always, all the time. Fell right out that time. If I went too far back, or I didn't do it right on my font. Let me turn these fans off. Close the window. All right, that should be a lot quieter. All right, so the fonts didn't come out quite right. I still had I think when I went undo, I think I went undo too far because the middle part of the E is gone. The O's still there, but the middle part of the E is gone. The E I think I did first. I don't know. Maybe I didn't do it quite far enough. But that worked by even just having to completely remove that material and put it right back down on the rollie. It cut it right out without any problem. The second pass, even after removing the material. I don't know of another machine you're going to do that with. But we were talking about the risers. Patrick's channel, somebody else. I'm drawing a blank. My brain is shutting down. Yeah, Richard, he's not talking about the hold downs. He's talking about the risers for the actual laser. These feet on the Lasermatic. Patrick prints those out, and he sells them with the extension. Sells them. He also has a wire extension for the rotary, because whenever you lift it up, you need an extension for the rotary. Light Source Engraving. Go over his channel. You can find his website, and he's got those available. Okay, back to questions. Do you just use the Rolly honeycomb for positioning your wood? I think it is awesome having that capability. That and the raised honeycomb should also be the standard on all lasers. Yeah, the honeycomb is in a fixed position. You don't need jigs. You don't. If you were doing, they do have a jig table. So like if you were doing tons of coasters and you wanted to put the coasters in the same spot every single time, then you could get that jig table, and that would be really handy. But when you're doing wood, yes, I just use the honeycomb and just slide it into a corner of the honeycomb, and it's in a position, and it will be in that same position every time because the honeycomb's locked in place. It ain't going anywhere. It is raised up off the bed, so you got plenty of airflow. This is what should be the industry standard. Late to the show tonight, but what was wrong? But what was wrong with the wood to make it a bad piece of wood? It didn't cut all the way through. There was, in fact, there was even a lot of that one must have had some fillers in it more than usual. In fact, on the back side of this one, you can see where that's burnt and chipped away on the part of the eye. This one had some bad stuff in it, just a lot of glue. See all the smoke and burning? That was some junk. It was just junk. That one was, and that's a very rarity out of this material that I get, the premium Baltic birch. I don't typically have that problem. But when you see a lot of smoke and burning on the front edge as your laser's cutting, it's because it's not getting all the way through and you're getting a lot of extra deterioration. It might be from glue, fillers, or just a knot in the wood. But this one, after the second pass, it came out. Now I want to get over here, switch cameras, and put this together real fast. So let's see here. Switch to here and switch. So let's see how this is going to do a quick test fit on my slots. And that's good. Yeah, that's actually a little bit looser than I would like, but what I'm going to do, got those. So I'm going to take my top piece and actually grab my back first, put the back in play, and go ahead and put the second one in. Not doing any glue here. Then grab the next one. And the next one. And now with those like that, I will now grab my glue. Fill those slots up. And a generous amount around the perimeter. But filling those slots up, that's going to glue those in place. You may even have some glue squeezed through to the front, but that's okay. Then you can place that on there. And set her down to dry. And once she's dried up, You're golden. That quick, that easy. And I'll bring her over here. And she's got to dry yet. Let's take Jeff off here, hide. So it needs some tweaking. The font is not right. And like I said, I didn't practice this. I didn't rehearse it. We just did it together. So I'm going to have to tweak that a little bit. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix the font so that we don't have excessive pieces falling away. And I put that heart, not that it matters, but I put that one on inverted from how it was designed. But that would actually look pretty good all painted up. Different colors. But that's a real simple, easy piece to do. Now we've been, Jesus, 2.5 hours we've been doing this, and we've still got 100 and some odd people. Bless you each and every one. So for those who have maybe come in late, recapping real quick. In fact, let's go over to, let me open a new tab, bring her over here, go to hobowithwood.com, and now switch. Nope, not that one. That one. Go to home. All right. So anytime I load new projects, it should come here. Let's refresh this. I would have thought there was more here. Go to the digital files. And if you go all the way to the bottom, you have a search bar. Type in crosshair. And that's going to bring up all of the ones with the crosshairs. I'm going to have, there's 7 results here. They are listed individually where you can get, if you only want the moose, you can get the moose. If you only want Bigfoot, you can get Bigfoot. There's the deer. And then here's the collection, the Crosshairs Mountain Collection. And if you click on it, it's going to show you all of them. You get all of those we just mentioned. That's Bigfoot, and then you got the moose, the elk, the deer, Bigfoot. There's Bigfoot in there twice. I got him in there twice. I got that gallery wrong, I guess. And the bear, but it's $20 for the entire thing, and the individual pieces are. Let's see. Is that just the deer, the elk? Individuals $4.99. So you save 20% if you buy all of them at one time. But you just seen how easy it is to kind of create these things. It's not very difficult. But if you missed it in the beginning, if you guys would go over to patreon.com/hobowithwood, you're going to see all of these files that are going to be available for download. And it's a year's worth of files that you're going to have available. And the gold patrons get switch. Gold patrons get 100% off on all the files on Hobo with Wood, and hobowithwood.com has 100 files on it or more. So a $20 monthly patron is a huge deal if you are not at the level yet of creating all of your own files, but you want to get files that are tested and proven LightBurn friendly. It's the best deal going. And I'm going to put this up here now just in case. Banners. For those that don't want to do Patreon or can't do Patreon, but you would like to support the channel, these are the options rolling across the bottom of the screen on how you can help support me and the channel, keep things like this going on. And if that's even a little more than you can do right now, that last option, if you're buying from Amazon, and I know you are, go to hobowithwood.com/Amazon. Anytime you need to go to Amazon to make purchases, hobowithwood.com/Amazon, and it just redirects you right straight to Amazon, the same one, and I'll get a couple of pennies off of anything you purchase, and it'll help me keep my channel going. I'm going to give you a coupon code. In fact, let me go in here and create it right now. Let's go to dashboard. Let's see. Nope. Got to do this and do dashboard. Log in. Coupons. Marketing, coupons. All right. So for the next 24 hours, add coupon. We're going to do crosshairs 50. And let's see here. Can I comment? Yeah. All right. So crosshairs 50. I just put that in the comments. Crosshairs 50 will get you a 50% off. 50% off. Percentage discount. 50%. And it's going to be with anything with crosshairs. So products, crosshairs. So if you wanted the collection, it'll be 50% off the entire collection. If you want to do in any of the individuals, it'll be 50% off of the individuals. So crosshairs. That's the deer, the collection, elk. And I'm generating this real fast while I'm doing it. So if you wanted to go do that now, you can. And in fact, is it going to let me do this whole shit? Nope. It won't let me do them all at one time. So crosshairs, bear, crosshairs, Bigfoot. All right, so that's the bear, the Bigfoot, the deer, the elk, and the moose. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure I got them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks like all of them. Yeah, that's right. Because 5 5s is 25, and if you get all of them in the collection, it's 20. So save. Let's see. Actually, no. Let's see. General expiration date. Today is the 20th. And we want it to, we'll do expires on the 22nd. So if I did that right, it should be good until midnight tomorrow. And publish. All right, so crosshairs 50 is now active and will get you 50% off of any of the crosshair that are already done. And I don't want to give you this file since the font didn't do what I wanted it to do. I will tweak this font before I leave to go to get into bed. And I will upload this to hobowithwood.com tonight before I go to bed with a good working font, and it will be free to download for 24 hours once I get this up. So, and I will get it up tonight. the file. I'll get the file up tonight. So let me look for any more questions here. Let's see. Got to scroll up a little bit. All right, now I'm back to where we're at. Question mark. With the rolly, when engraving at the edge, will overscan cause it to hit the limit switch? Yes. Yeah, it sure will. So if you're engraving, and if you're engraving at a higher speed and you've got that material over to the edge like I do, you have to be aware of your overscanning and compensate for that either with where the design is positioned on the wood or shift the material. And when you do that, then you may not, when possible, I shift the design so that I can keep my wood in a fixed position in case I need to go back to the machine with it. Doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's so nice to know that you can just lay it right back down there. Question. I went to Hobby Lobby and got some 2-inch clamps to hold it together after gluing. Yeah, I've got a couple of options. In fact, if you haven't been to hobowithwood.com, there are a lot of files on hobowithwood.com that are free anyway, whether if you're a patron or not. And one of the files are my clamps. And if it's something like this, where it's not like you got to put a lot of pressure on it. These are just rubber band clamps that I cut out of waste material. And I've got probably 5 or 6 really heavy duty rubber bands on there that are just doubled and doubled and doubled. And these work great. And this is a free file on hobowithwood.com. And like I said, I cut those out of waste material. Do you paint prior to engraving? Sometimes, but I didn't this. I spray bombed this after the fact. And because I did a very, very light spray on this, it didn't cover up the engraving. But sometimes I will pre-paint or pre-finish. I don't like to paint a lot and then engraving. The excessive fumes and it makes the lens dirtier faster. I do a lot more with this. That is a metallic craft paper, and I'll glue that to the face of the material and then flip the material face down. And of course, I have to mirror the image because I'm cutting out the back, cutting it out from the reverse. But that gives me a nice finish to it. That's something better than I think it's a better result than the painting or cutting the pre-painted material. Okay. This is the link for Patrick's. I don't know if you're able to share a link. I need to find that real quick. Let's see. Oh, it's the lightsource.pro. That's what I messed up. It's not lightsourcepro.com. It's lightsource.pro. Yeah, that's it. Now I'll copy that. Copy. And now I can share it. Paste and enter. There we go. Lightsource.pro. I'm used to doing .coms, and that's where I messed up a minute ago. So I told you my brain is not firing on all cylinders. But yeah, Patrick has got the 3D printed risers for the MK2. He was working on a design for the MK1. I don't know if he ever got around to it or not. Ba, 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 ba. Looking for question marks. Okay, I'm caught up. And yeah, I mean, not everybody subscribes to the and I don't know if it was Hallmark or who, but that is a made up holiday. That was just a way to generate revenue. And I don't know if it was Hallmark, but it was a greeting card company somewhere sometime that come up with the idea of Valentine's Day just to sell you crap, just to make you go spend money. Ba, ba, ba. There are 6 crosshairs. 5 that I'm aware of. I've got the deer, the moose, the bear. Let's see, got them all turned around the wrong way here. So elk, bear, moose, Bigfoot, and deer. And then you know what? There is the other one. The one I just had in my hand. Cupid is stupid. I'll add that one on there too. Let me go to Hobo with Wood right now and add that. All right, so now I just added Cupid is stupid. So that's on there. Update it. Now, Cupid is stupid is not included in the collection. The collection is the mountain scenes with all the animals. But now Cupid is stupid with the crosshairs is included in the 50% off until midnight on the 22nd. Or I don't know. I don't know exactly how that works, but it should be good for at least 24 hours. Is this live stream every Saturday night, Steve? It blows my mind that there's 90 people still watching this after 2 hours and 50 minutes. Whether it's the same 90 people or not, I don't know. But there are changes with Hobo with Wood for 2024, and I need to get more patrons. And while there have been contributors to Hobo with Wood, and I've got regular contributors, I don't like the idea of coming on here every week and saying, "Hey, support me. Super thanks this, super thanks that." And I'm so appreciative that for a while there, many of you were, but you shouldn't have to do that every week. And that's why I was really encouraging folks to jump over there to Patreon and become a gold patron. Just do that one time a month, and now you're going to have access to all these files. And if I'm doing this, if I'm not doing it every Saturday, it'll be at least every other Saturday. Because when I do this, I want to have new information, new files. And sometimes this old thing just don't want to run, or I'll get in a funk and don't want to do nothing. So it's going to be at least every other Saturday, like Laser Maker's Realm was at this time slot. But at least every other, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And then what video did I just do? I did. See, I don't even remember what I did. Go to my YouTube studio, content. Oh, the Amazing Grace full demonstration where I did a complete cutout. And that what I may try to do is I may end up trying to have, and this is also going to be that much more reason why you want to go over to Patreon and become a gold patron, or at least the bronze, because if I'm doing this once a week, that's going to be at least a new file every week that's going on to hobowithwood.com. And if you're a patron, gold patron, you're going to be getting a new file every single week. And if you're a gold patron, you're not getting a single file. Tonight, I uploaded 6 crosshair versions, plus I'm going to upload this I Love You Heart. It's a no-brainer, guys. It really is. And I need to get as many of them as I can. And it's just so much easier for you guys that are wanting to support the channel not to be doing super thanks every time you come in. I'm grateful for those that have and that. But the Patreon is the way to go. All right. I think. Yep. All right. I've got to the bottom of this. I am going to wrap this up because there doesn't seem to be any more in it. Plus, now, after a 3-hour live stream, I'm going to hang up, go tweak the I Love You and make that better, the font better. And I will get that on hobowithwood.com as a free download that will be free to download until the 22nd. And I don't know how this WooCommerce works. I'm hoping that on the 22nd, which would be midnight, as soon as it becomes the 22nd, it's no longer available. But it may remain free until the end of the 22nd. I don't really know. But as always, I never know when this end stream is going to actually hit the end stream. I can hit the button, and it seems like you're waiting for it to end. I haven't hit it yet. But thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. I'm going to go finish this, get it on the website, and I look forward to seeing you all guys and gals again real soon. Have a great rest of your weekend. Laser Maker's Realm will not be tomorrow. It'll be next Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. I missed it last time, the opening anyway, because I was there. All right. So, guys, have a good evening or a good day, depending on where you're at. And I'll see you in the next live stream.